The Sermon of One. The village of St. Elaine sat forgotten at the edge of the war. No trenches scarred its fields. No artillery shattered its sleep. No crusader banners flew above its chapel. It was too small to matter and too poor to save. The war had passed around it like a river around a stone. Its people thanked God every day for that mercy. They did not know that mercy had already abandoned them. Father Voss arrived on a rainy evening. At least, that was the name he gave them. The villagers saw a tired priest in weathered black robes. His face was hidden beneath a hood. His boots were stained with the mud from the roads. He carried no weapons. He had no escort, and he rode on no horse. Only an old book chained to his waist. The villagers welcomed him. The chapel's true priest had died from a fever 3 months earlier. Since then, no replacement had come from the church. The people were desperate. They begged him to stay. Voss smiled, and he agreed. For the first week, he was a model holy man. He blessed newborns, comforted widows, prayed over the sick. He listened to confessions for hours. Everyone loved him, especially because he never seemed to sleep. Villagers often saw candlelight in the chapel long after midnight, sometimes until dawn, always accompanied by the soft whispering. Many assumed he was praying. In truth, he was speaking with something buried beneath the world, something old, something starving, and something that listened. The first disappearance occurred 9 days after his arrival. A drunk named Elias failed to return home. The villagers searched nearby woods. Nothing. No blood. No tracks. And no body. People assumed wolves had gotten him. The war had driven strange beasts into the countryside. The explanation comforted them, so they accepted it. Then another vanished, a young woman, then an elderly farmer. After that, 2 brothers. The village became frightened, but Father Voss remained calm. He urged faith. He urged prayer. He urged attendance at the chapel, and attendance grew. Every pew filled. Every candle burned. Every sermon lasted longer. The villagers began noticing changes. Neighbors became suspicious of one another. Arguments erupted over trivial matters. Families stopped speaking. Children cried themselves awake after nightmares. The livestock grew thin. The crops began rotting despite favorable weather. Something felt wrong. The air itself seemed diseased. It was heavy and forever watching. One evening, a farmer named Gerard confronted Voss. He was among the few who still distrusted the newcomer. He entered the chapel after sunset, carrying a lantern. The building was empty. At least it appeared empty. Then he heard voices beneath the floor. Hundreds of voices. They were whispering, crying, begging. He followed the sound to the altar. There, he found a hidden trapdoor. It stood open. Below stretched darkness. Gerard descended. 3 steps, 4, and then 5. Then his lantern illuminated the chamber beneath. The missing villagers were there. What remained of them? They hung from iron hooks driven through flesh, still alive, still breathing, eyes hollow, bodies skinned in strips. Black roots emerged from their wounds. The roots spread across walls and ceilings like veins. Each root pulsed slowly, as if carrying blood or feeding. At the center stood Father Voss. He was kneeling, praying before something impossible. A shape made from darkness and exposed bone. Too large for the chamber. Too large for reality. Its body constantly shifted. Limbs grew and dissolved. Faces appeared across its flesh. Every face belonged to a missing villager. All were screaming, but none had mouths. Gerard ran. He barely reached the stairs before Voss spoke, not loudly or angrily. It was merely a whisper. "Stay." Gerard's body obeyed. His legs froze. His muscles locked. His lungs stopped drawing breath. The farmer stood motionless while terror consumed him. Voss slowly approached. The priest's eyes no longer appeared human. Entire galaxies of darkness swam within them. Something looked out from behind its face. Something ancient. Something delighted. "Do you know why your village was spared?" Voss asked. Gerard could not answer. The war ignored this place. The priest smiled. "So I claimed it." The farmer disappeared the following morning. No one questioned it. No one remembered him well enough to care. That frightened them more than the disappearance itself. People were forgetting. Neighbors forgot names. Parents forgot birthdays. Wives forgot husbands. The village was unraveling. Memory itself was rotting. Voss's sermons became mandatory. No law enforced this. People simply felt compelled to attend. To stay away caused panic, physical pain, and nightmares. Eventually, everyone came. Every day, every evening, and every night. The chapel was always full. One winter morning, a little girl asked a question. She could not have been older than 8. Her name was Clara. She stood during a sermon. "Father?" Voss smiled. "Yes, child." "Why does God cry at night?" Silence filled the chapel. For the first time, fear crossed Voss's face. Only briefly, and only for a second. But it happened, and the villagers noticed. The candles flickered violently. The walls groaned. Something beneath the floor moved. "What do you mean, child?" Voss asked. The girl pointed downward. "The crying under the church." Several villagers began whispering. Many had heard it. None had spoke about it. Not until now. The crying, the pleading, the scratching beneath the floorboards. That night, Voss entered the underground chamber. For the first time since arriving, he was angry. The thing he worshipped awaited him. A mountain of darkness feeding on suffering, growing larger each day. Soon, it would consume the village entirely, then the region, and after that, more. Its hunger was endless. "The child sees too much," Voss said. The entity's countless eyes opened, thousands, millions, watching him. Then it spoke, not in words, in understanding, a truth forced directly into his mind. Voss fell to his knees. For decades, he had served this god, murdered for it, burned cities for it. He had damned thousands for it. He believed himself chosen, favored, loved. He finally understood. The god had never cared. Not even once. Not ever. The village was not its prize. Neither was the war, nor humanity, or the world. Those were merely meals. And Voss, he was food as well. Just slower food. A useful parasite awaiting consumption, nothing more. For the first time in his life, the priest felt genuine fear. The god descended. Its roots pierced his body, thousands at once, digging through flesh, wrapping around bone, entering into his eyes, his mouth, and his soul. Voss screamed. The villagers heard it throughout the night. No one slept. No one dared to investigate. By the morning, the screaming had stopped. Father Voss emerged from the chapel smiling. His skin had become pale as paper. Black roots pulsed visibly beneath it. His eyes were gone. Empty sockets stared into the people amassed in his chapel. Yet somehow, he still saw them. The villagers dropped to their knees, not willingly. Their bodies simply folded like puppets. Voss raised his hands and spoke the final sermon. No one remembered the words afterward. No survivors ever existed to record them, but travelers later reported what they found. When crusaders finally reached St. Helene months later, they discovered no village, no houses, no roads, no fields, nothing. The entire settlement had vanished, as though it never existed. Only the chapel remained, standing alone in a wasteland of black earth. Its doors hung open, waiting. Inside sat hundreds of villagers, perfectly still, perfectly silent, bodies untouched by decay, eyes fixed towards the altar, as if listening to a sermon that had never ended. And behind the altar stood Father Voss, motionless, smiling, dead. Or perhaps not. No one could tell. The crusaders burned the chapel. They burned the bodies. They burned the earth itself for 7 days and 7 nights. When the flames finally died, nothing remained, except beneath the ashes, deep underground, far below human sight, a vast network of roots continued to grow, slowly, patiently, feeding and waiting, searching for another forgotten place, another lonely village, another door left open.